Okay, so good morning, everyone. We are waiting for everyone to join the meeting before we start. We will start in a couple of minutes. Okay, I see that the speed of the people joining is now reducing, so I propose that we start. We have quite a busy agenda, so welcome everyone. My name is Philippe Jacques. I'm the Managing Director of EMIRI and coordinating the Advanced Materials 2030 initiative. We're very welcome to all of you for this information session that where we wanted really to share with you the progress on the preparation of the proposed European partnership under Horizon Europe on innovative advanced materials. So before I quickly let all the panelists introduce themselves, please just take note that this session is being recorded, that we are going later on to share it on our website. So just be aware of this. If you have questions during the presentation, please do not hesitate to post them in the Q&A in Zoom. So please use the Q&A, not the chat. If you see the chat, go to the Q&A function. And also, of course, we will be sharing these slides, and the recording will be also made available after this session. So basically, we are not going, because there are a lot of people who registered, so we do not plan really to open the floor for questions live. If you have questions, please put them in the Q&A, and normally we have planned enough time, really. I hope we will be able to take them all, otherwise we will answer them later on. Okay, so before we go to the agenda and how we want to conduct this session, I really propose to go through quickly introducing the different panelists, and better than doing it myself. I think the best is that everyone really take the floor for 20 seconds and just really say who they are. So I will just follow the list on my in Zoom here. So Amaya.
Hello, good morning. My name is Amaya Zurutuza. I'm the CTO of Graphenea. Graphenea is an SME that produces different graphene materials. We also manufacture graphene chips. And we have been involved in the flagship from the beginning, so in the past 10 years. And we are also involved in the new projects that were funded through the graphene flagship.
Thank you. Andrea?
Hello, good morning, everybody. I'm Andrea Ferrari, and I represent the Graphene flagship, and of which I'm the Science and Technology Officer, and I'm very happy to be here today to present this new exciting initiative.
Flavia?
Good morning, I'm Flavia Tomarchio. I'm representing the 2D Material Industry and Innovation Consortium, a new initiative that brings together all the companies and also RTOs and academic in the field of 2D materials. Happy to be here today for this new project.
Thank you. Jérôme?
Yes, good morning all. My name is Jérôme Gavier. I work at CA, the French Atomic Agency, as a EU program manager. And I am also on a part-time secondment at IAM4EU, working as a project officer supporting Philippe Jacques in the setting up of this initiative.
Peter, are you still with us?
Yes, thanks, Philippe. My name is Peter Klein. I'm working at the Fraunhofer Institute for Industrial Mathematics. And in this initiative, I try to coordinate a little bit the efforts towards materials digitalization. Thank you.
Thank you. And so the two other panelists are from the EC Commission, Sophie Noreger and Tina Zuckner. Sophie?
Yes, good morning to everybody. So my name is Sophie Noreger. I'm the Deputy Head of Unit of the Industrial Transformation Unit in DG RTD, who has been in charge of the communication on advanced materials for industrial leadership we will present to you, and who is also following this partnership very closely. Thank you.
Thank you for being with us today. And Tina?
Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Tina Zuckner. I work in the same unit as Sophie and happy to join you today. Thank you.
Thank you all. So maybe, Andrea, do you want to introduce quickly the agenda of the program for the session?
Yes, thank you, Philippe. And again, good morning, everybody. We have a packed agenda. We will start with Sophie and Tina, and I will introduce the topic later. Then Philippe will provide an overview of how we got here, how we got to this IAM4EU partnership. There's some background noise. I don't know from where. Maybe Sophie, if you can mute yourself. And then I will give you a brief introduction of where we are now with the Strategic Research and Innovation Agenda. And then I will introduce speakers that will present the four broad orientations that will be targeted for the Work Package 2025. In between, we'll have time for some Q&A, and then Philippe and myself will end the session. But without further ado, I will now ask Sophie and Tina to present this very important announcement on the advanced materials for industrial leadership. This provides a variety of actions that the EC plans to do in Horizon Europe and hopefully also in FP10. And in my view, this is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, action that on advanced and innovative materials worldwide. So we are really excited about these decisions and proposals of the EC. So Sophie and Tina, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. So yes, thank you very much. So I am proud today, together with Tina, to present you the content of the Commission communication on advanced materials for industrial leadership, which was very recently adopted. So if I can have the next slide, please. Yeah. I don't think that I need to introduce what advanced materials are in this meeting, but just to recall you that we are based ourselves on the OECD definition of advanced materials. So they are intentionally designed and engineered materials which have new or enhanced properties and/or target or enhanced structural features to achieve specific improved functional performance. You can find more, the more details of this definition in the OECD document. Next slide, please. So why are advanced materials so important for us, and what is the policy context we need to situate this communication in? First of all, we have the Green Deal and we have the digital transition documents and strategies from the Commission. And advanced materials are key enablers and innovation drivers for these acts. In particular, for example, the recent Net Zero Industry Act, where advanced materials will play a big role, as well as in the critical raw materials potential substitution of these through advanced materials. So to say, you know, there's really, these advanced materials are really at the basis of a lot of the needs we need today to address our current societal challenges. And we see an increasing demand for these advanced materials. As I said before, in the renewable energies, batteries, zero-emission buildings, semiconductors, we need them to have improved efficiency and performance, but we also need them to become circular, safe, and to allow for safe and sustainable products in the long run. So there's an increasing demand, but there is also an increasing request to how these new advanced materials need to be and what they need to fulfill. Thank you very much. Next slide. Yes, so the examples of important advanced materials, these were examples which were also shown to the press during the technical briefing when the communication was adopted. I am sure that many of you are you know these, you've seen this before, but it's just again to recall how many different areas where advanced materials actually play an important role. Next slide, please. We have also looked at, with a study we carried out about patents, we have also looked at the EU global positioning, and this is an important message where we see that we do, as EU 27, lag behind in R&D expenditures compared to the US. We are still in a, leading position or almost very shortly leading position compared to some other countries, but we can see that it's not that we have a very, very strong position and others are catching up very quickly. So this is also something which drives this needs to make sure that we can have, our economic security and open strategic autonomy in Europe. Next slide, please. So it is really, as I said, the ambition of this communication is to strengthen the EU's resilience and the open strategic autonomy and to deliver on the Green Deal and also on the twin transition. So we must accelerate our advanced materials research and technology development. We must scale up innovation and manufacturing capacity and step up also the industrial uptake of advanced materials. So this communication really covers the whole value chain, the whole life cycle of advanced materials. Next slide, please. This slide is a little bit more complex. It goes back to the problem definition. And as you can see, the context, I have already identified it to you. It's the greener digital transition, the need for a healthy, to protect human health and environmental health, and also the current geopolitical environment we are operating in. We then have identified a set of drivers, so the fragmentation of the R&D landscape, the low investments, long innovation processes, the lack of progress in circularity and material efficiency, lack of testing and experimenting facilities, insufficient level of digitalization, lack of standards, lack of skills, lack of strategic approach to international cooperation. All these have a set of consequences which have then also allowed us to really formulate a vision and to identify a set of 14 actions which we will present to you today. So the vision is really have all relevant stakeholders act to ensure industrial leadership for advanced materials by mobilizing the needed investments and supporting the innovative EU companies to improve their competitiveness. And we also talk about the so-called EU ecosystem on advanced materials. Next slide, please. Now we will move into the strategy, and I will just present this first slide to you, and then I will hand over to Tina. So we have four, we call them pillars, but they are actually interconnected, and that is also why we've tried to give them a more, maybe circular connection in this slide. But these 5 pillars are the ones which we really, build the communication on, and under which you will find the different actions. So the first pillar is really about research and innovation to make advanced materials research and innovation a launchpad for the twin transition, for the EU resilience and open strategic autonomy. But here we're really talking about the research and innovation aspects. In pillar 2, we move to fast track from lab to fab. And in Pillar 3, we look at the increasing capital investment and access to finance. And Pillar 4 looks at fostering the production and use of advanced materials. So you can really see the whole life cycle span in this context. And Pillar 5 will then address the overall governance. With this, I think we can move to the next slide, and I hand over to Tina.
Yeah, thank you, Sophie. So I'll give you a short overview of the actions to implement the strategy. There are overall 14 outlined in the communication about research and innovation. It's about common objectives and priorities co-created with member states. And to start, there are 4 priority areas: energy, mobility, construction, and electronics. There's also a preliminary list of research and innovation priorities annexed to the communication, but this is just a starting point to be updated in future, and also to be complemented with research and innovation needs regarding the substitution of critical raw materials with advanced materials. Next slide, please. Going to Pillar 1, the fast track from lab to fab. So it's about accelerating research and development and uptake of advanced materials, access to technology infrastructure, setting up a European digital infrastructures, the so-called materials commons, building on national initiatives such as the French IAM or the German Material Digital, and also facilitating access to technology infrastructures for innovators and in particular SMEs, with a single entry catalog listing relevant technology infrastructures across industry and sectors, including the 28 available open innovation test beds, and also exploring funding possibilities for further technology infrastructures to close gaps. Next slide, please. About capital investment and finance, first and foremost, today's topic, the candidate partnership Innovative Advanced Materials for Europe, a public-private co-programmed partnership to be set up with an European budget of 250 million for 3 years, 2025 to 2027, to be at least matched by industry through additional activities. I'll keep it short for now because we have the whole morning to learn more about the idea behind this, but just as a reminder, the partnership is one of the key actions of the overall initiative, contributing to the overall strategy and implementation across pillars and also interlinked with further actions. In addition, we have included the Forum for Important Projects of Common European Interest, a forum recently set up by the Commission upon request of member states to explore areas of potential interest for future IPCEIs. The European Innovation Council will also continue its support of startups and scale-up in the area of advanced materials to foster cooperation in research and in between companies of all sizes. And we will also make use of additional European funding instruments, for example, the Innovation Fund, the Strategic Technology European Platform, and also Invest EU. Next slide, please. Pillar 4 targets increased production and used, for example, through public procurement, big buyers working together to stimulate innovation markets. An Advanced Materials Academy is to be launched to address skills, reskilling, and talent, both academic and vocational. To this end, 10 million euro will be transferred from Horizon Europe to the European Institute of Innovation and Technologies for a call this year to the the knowledge and innovation communities. It's also about improving development and setting of standards, for example, for characterization and testing. And we also foresee 2 mapping studies to analyze production and use, as well as the patent landscape in advanced materials. Next slide, please. The final action regarding the overall governance of the initiative. To this end, the Technology Council on Advanced Materials is to be established, composed of national ministries, both from research and industry, stakeholders, including industry, and also including countries associated to Horizon Europe. This Commission expert group is to advise on the steering, to link with social partners, industry, partnerships, and also the Advanced Materials Group of Strategic Energy Plan, and also to discuss and foster international cooperation. Next slide, please. With this, I would like to conclude our brief overview. For more details, let me refer you to the recently published communication, Advanced Materials for Industrial Leadership, where today's topics, the candidate partnership IAM4EU, plays a pivotal role to strengthen and establish a vivid innovation ecosystem across Europe to make the most of advanced materials. And that's where we are counting on all of you, on your know-how, your support, and continuous engagement to make this whole initiative and the partnership a success. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tina and Sophie. We will take now the presentation of Philippe, and after that, we will have a Q&A session. It's important that you hear both presentations, but at the same time, you can start writing your questions in the Q&A panel, and then we will take them at the end. So, Philippe, please go ahead with your presentation. Thank you.
Yes, thanks a lot, Andrea. Thanks a lot. So I will try to provide you with an overview of where we are in the process of setting up this new partnership. I will try to keep it short. I'm quite sure that most of you already heard about it. But all this started with the publication in February 22, this Materials 2030 manifesto that was really calling for new forms of inclusive cooperation, really to overcome the current fragmentation of Europe's R&D on advanced materials, really calling also to better unite digital and materials capacities and competencies, and really better combining technology push and market pull. And this to be done in a really a unified, united EU community. So that's really the call was for calling for this systematic approach that is needed really to accelerate the development of materials that are really key for Europe's society and really to respond to the different challenges that we are facing now. So 2 years after this, the publication of the manifesto that was signed by the companies and research organizations that you see on the left-hand side, 2 years after, we have now more than 560 organizations who expressed interest and who are really involved, who supported this initiative by also contributing with experts in developing the roadmap first, then really building a strategic agenda, and now really digging into the setting up of this partnership. So the overall goal was broader than just the partnership, but definitely the partnership was one of the targeted objectives. So this led to there was an opportunity with the announcement by the Commission that there would be a batch of additional partnership that would be launched for the second half of Horizon Europe. And so we were really pushing really to have one on advanced materials benefiting from this opportunity. In July last year, the Commission published this paper presenting 10 proposals, including one on innovative advanced materials. And since then, that was really the official kickoff, I would say, of really the work on setting up the partnership. And we have been working together, so AMIT 2030 on one side, with the graphene flagship 2D materials community on the other one, really to set up this partnership, of course, in very close collaboration and coordination with the European Commission. So who are the different stakeholders? So you saw these different logos on the previous slide. So just maybe for those who would not know us, or some of us, so EMIRI is the Energy Material Industrial Research Initiative, which is a European association active in the field of research and innovation for, more specifically in the field of materials for the clean energy and clean mobility sector for more than 10 years now. UMAT, Manufuture and Suschem are European technology platforms, which are existing for, I think now close to 20 years. UMAT is really addressing globally and transversally all advanced materials and technology and related technologies. Manufuture is the platform, the think tank on manufacturing technologies, and Suschem is the platform on sustainable chemistry. And last but not least, the graphene flagship is really, you remember this flagship initiative that were launched, I think, a little bit more than 10 years ago now by the Commission. Really, it was a little bit before the missions. It was really a big project that were really launched, really with the intention to focus on some key areas for the future. Graphene was one of these, and so graphene has been actively working on the graphene technologies for a little bit more than 10 years now. So we are working together really to identify really what makes sense in such a partnership. We agreed really to focus on innovative advanced materials. So I don't want again to come back on the definition of advanced material. This one was quickly mentioned by Sophie earlier, and I think it's a difficult scope. It's quite a broad scope. What we want to focus on in this partnership is really to emphasize the importance of innovation and to be connected with the commercial potential of these materials. So all the actions should really be driven by the objective that at the end they need to deliver value on the markets and for the citizens. And innovative also refers to the innovative ways to use more classical materials in new applications. So this aspect is also covered by the partnership. And on the bottom right side, you see we were struggling really to try to come with an exhaustive definition of what would be covered or not by the partnership. And at the end, we gave up with this. Really, we will rely on this definition, and we will not limit the scope to specific types or to material with specific properties or to materials for specific sectors or for a specific scale of engineering. It's really all these advanced materials which are really strongly innovative that will be really covered by the partnership. We also made our brainstorming really to elaborate this problem statement. You know, for setting up the partnership, really we have to follow the quite organized structure. Really, to define the first step is really to define really the problem or the problems that we want really to tackle. So on our side, we identified really 4 main challenges. The first one is really the need to speed up, basically, in a context where there are more and more constraints, more and more complex requirements, and we need to deliver appropriate advanced materials which are really sustainable and more performant at an ever faster pace. So that's definitively one of the big challenges we are facing. Another one is that indeed, this one is also clearly mentioned in the communication from the EC, that we are facing a fragmented landscape. There are a lot of different stakeholders who are interested in materials, whether they are designing, developing, producing this one, or whether they are processing them, transforming them, using them, integrating them into the products, or also that they have to recycle them. And of course, all the users are also in this landscape, with also the different levels of the European, international European, national member states, associated countries, regional level. Everyone is interested in advanced materials, and but we are missing currently this coordination between the different levels of the political for the different R&I policies in the field. We also, let's be clear that I think we are really now in a global race. I think that's not new, but we are definitively seeing that we are facing more and more competition from other regions. And if we want to keep the historical leadership that we had on advanced materials innovation, we need to do something. And the last one is more linked to the global challenges with climate change, and also all what this means regarding resources which are needed really to develop and to deploy all the new technologies really that we have to implement now. That there is definitively an issue with the resource scarcity, and also the fact that Europe is facing now some issues about sovereign autonomy. And so what we are really aiming to set up, and that's really, I would say, our tagline. The ambition is really to set up this multi-sectorial accelerator for the design, development, and uptake of safe and sustainable advanced materials toward a circular economy. So every word there is really important and meaningful. We want this multi-sectorial approach, multidisciplinary approach. We want to cover all the segments of the value chain, and we want really to target and to improve the level of safety and sustainability that advanced materials will bring and contribute to a circular economy. So we made the exercise starting from these different problems, really to elaborate what are the inputs which are aligned with this policy communication on advanced materials for industrial leadership. I will not spend too much time on this. I think it's just structuring really all the activities and really to define what are the common targets and the agreed objective at the very different level, at the operational level first, developing new innovative advanced materials and associated technologies, providing all these cross-enabling tools, methodologies, and frameworks that will really support the acceleration of the development and of materials, and also reinforcing the ecosystem. So all this will be translated into, or will hopefully generate these outcomes, which are reinforcing these resilient and circular value chains, really provide all the high-level capabilities, skills, competencies, infrastructures, tools that really will help really and allow Europe to accelerate and to provide new advanced materials, innovative advanced materials. And also for this, we need, of course, also to tackle and to make the innovation cycle from research to innovation uptake much more robust and more effective. And by achieving this specific objective, we will contribute really by bringing new solutions that will really contribute to the green and digital transitions on one side, and also we will reinforce the competitiveness and sovereignty of Europe. So I don't want to repeat again, once again, how innovative advanced materials are really important for technology progress, and that they are really pivotal in the twin transition, and also with that they will support Europe competitiveness and sovereignty. So what I think is more important is really to spend 2 minutes on really what is the way we see the mission of the partnership, which is really to establish and maintain this cross-sectorial, multidisciplinary, collaborative, Europe-wide research innovation ecosystem. So that's really what we want to achieve here. And by doing this, we will enable the acceleration from the research up to the market for new innovative advanced materials that will be really designed for and fitting this digital and circular economy. This was, and this is totally aligned with the priority that were identified in the policy communication published last February by the Commission. The initial focus will be on clean technology sectors which really enable this twin transition. So namely, that means the sectors of energy, mobility, construction, and electronics. But once again, what is important in our view is that this partnership is totally transversal one that will be really providing the foundation for this much more efficient research and innovation ecosystem. And so what we need to tackle are really first, all these reinforcing these foundations. And of course, by targeting first the priority sectors to benefit from these efforts, really the strategic area which are here on the slide. Regarding I would say the charter or the guiding principle that really we want to implement, the ambition is really to cover all the segments of the materials value chain and all the technologies and infrastructure that will be enabling really the development of the design and development and uptake of these materials. The partnership will also support the full innovation cycle, like I was mentioning. We will recognize the key enabling roles of all types of innovative advanced materials. So it's not about focusing on certain types of materials, whether they would be polymers or nano or 2D or whatever, but depending really on the challenge, all the materials will have their work to say and will be considered. And of course, those who are the most relevant for the challenges that need and the problem that need to be addressed will be, of course, those who will be developed and really providing really the solution. And last but not least, it's a co-program. It will be a co-program partnership. So industry is fully on board. And of course, this means that the partnership will ensure that there is a strong connection between really where the effort, the research investment will be done, and also what are the industrial needs, but also what are the industry contribution. Like Tina mentioned quickly, the overall budget which is allocated to this partnership will be about 500 million euro over the 3 last years of Horizon Europe. Half of this will come from the Commission, so funding from the budget through the budget of Horizon Europe. The other part have to come from industry in what is called this additional activities, in-kind contribution that needs really to be provided by industry. So it's really important that industry is totally on board and fully supporting and contributing really to achieving the objective of the partnership. So I will go very quickly on this slide. I like it because it really illustrates our playground. So we want to cover all the segments of what we call the materials value chain, starting from discovery, design, development, production, transforming these advanced materials and integrating them into components, products, and systems. Of course, these systems, products will be used, and at the end of the use phase, we need to care about how to close the loop and really to be able to reuse again these materials, whether in the same application or maybe in other applications. We will be really building and relying on three important cross-sectorial enablers. Digital technologies will be a big part of it, but it's not the only one. There are a lot of technologies which are really enabling all the innovative advanced materials, production, processing, characterization technologies, tools, equipment, instrumentation, and so on. All these have to contribute also to the development of these new materials. And of course, all this has to be done in a very close link and alignment with the existing and upcoming policy and regulatory framework. And again, the ambition is really to have all the different strategic markets really to benefit from these activities. We will, in a first step, in the first stage, we will really focus on construction, energies, transport, and electronics. But the ambition of the partnership, provided we are able really to reconduct it or after Horizon Europe, will be also to address and to support other strategic markets. This is another way of presenting really how things are interconnected. So it's, of course, this partnership is focused first on advanced materials, but for developing, for processing, for integrating, for recycling these advanced materials, we need to be strongly connected with the relevant technologies, and we need also to identify what are the needs from the different markets. There will be 5 drivers, I would say. Well, there is one generic driver or no-brainer driver, which is safe and sustainable materials. So all work should be really conducted, having in mind that we need to provide solutions which are safer and more sustainable. But then there are 5 drivers: the resilience, so reducing, substituting critical raw materials; the resource efficiency, by finding materials, developing materials which are embodying less resources, whether material resources, but also energy resources. We want really to continue all the efforts developing new materials, embracing cutting-edge functionality, what we call these frontier materials. We want really to favor renewable resources, so really develop alternatives to fossil-based resources, and by further developing materials based on biosource. And of course, we want to make all these materials circular compatible, so enabling the circular economy. And by doing this, we will contribute to the main objective of the twin transition and the industrial and competitiveness and EU sovereignty. We are considering 8 types of main activities, leveraging on game-changing technologies for fast development of scalable, innovative advanced material solution. So that's mainly about really developing new supporting, enabling technology that will really make it possible to accelerate the development. We want, of course, also to develop new materials and technologies that really will reduce the environmental footprint of our activities, and that will also allow for make these circular business models really viable. We want to have activities really to support innovation uptake and access to infrastructure and surface. This resonates a lot with also what was presented earlier by Tina and Sophie on the technology infrastructure side. Of course, the partnership will be really promoting and organizing clustering events, dissemination events, really to facilitate and to enable further exploitation of the results of the project. We want to also to contribute to an efficient implementation of key regulations. I think there is one important approach which is now also pushed by the Commission for Research and Innovation, which is about this safe and sustainable by design approach. Definitively, we want to contribute to make this approach really implementable and really accessible easily to also to SMEs and startups. Of course, the skills dimension is key, and the partnership will probably not be developing itself courses or new trainings, but I think by really by engaging all the community, we can really contribute to identifying what are the gaps, what are the needs, and to address these needs to the appropriate institutions that will really be taking care of deploying, building these trainings and education courses and to deliver them. And we want, of course, to contribute to this European Advanced Materials Innovation ecosystem that is also, I think, the main objective of the policy communication. And last but not least, we are sure that there are domains where we need more international cooperation on standards, for example, on really the standards for data management, for example. We need to be able really to connect with other resources in other regions of the world. In a very simple way, where we position the partnership is, of course, it's a partnership under Horizon Europe. It's a partnership which is a co-program one, so it's clearly part of Pillar 2. It will be even part of Cluster 4 in Pillar 2. That's where most of the funding that is allocated by the Commission to the partnership should be really addressed for really TRL activity, for research and innovation activities, really targeting achieving TRL 3 to 7. That's typically what we have in mind now. But of course, we expect that the partnership should also be connecting and really interacting with other stakeholders, which are in Horizon Europe in Pillar 1 for basic research, or in Pillar 3 for innovation uptake and skills, for example, but also with other instruments which are available at the European level, like the Innovation Fund. I think we can now add STEP also. And there are also different initiatives at the national, regional level and transnational, transregional level, where this partnership has also the potential really to develop synergies and collaborations. What we are doing in that regard also, well, you know, the ambition of the partnership is quite broad. It's about materials, but it's not only innovative advanced materials per se, it's also all the connected technologies. So we very early identified the need really to have a clear positioning of the partnership in the global landscape of the existing or upcoming other partnerships. And so we have been actively talking and taking the contacts and really developing connections with all the partnership that you see here on the slide. We feel that by working together, we will be really able to achieve all the different dimensions that need to be addressed in a complementary and coordinated way, so that really we will maximize the impact. So we are working on this kind of with this kind of tool, a heat map, really identifying for each of the priorities that we are working on, and that will be presented later by Andrea in part of the SRIA. We are really identifying with all the relevant other partnership where are the areas where definitively there is room for synergies, and then we will dig into what does that mean, how to make this synergy really happening in the future. I think I need to speed up a little bit if we want to keep some time for the Q&A. So again, not surprising, it's a co-program partnership, so we have to also to set up an association. We are working on the blueprint of this one. Definitively, what we want to to be able to do here is to embark all those who are really interested, all the communities which are contributing in a way or another to innovative advanced materials, either because they are developing them or because they are using them in a way or another. And so that's really all the different community that we want really to convince and to embark in this association. The governance is quite classical, I would say, for a co-program partnership, with full members having the voting right. That would be the companies and the RTOs of the academic world. Associate member that we need also to embark from association and NGOs. We are also to cover the societal dimension, and the governing bodies we will be mainly driven by industry, because industry at the end is really the one who commits also to bring this contribution to match the funding that is put on the table by the Commission. And of course, we will come with, like most of the, if not all of the partnership association, we will come with subscription fees, annual fees to be a part of the association that will be in the range which is quite classical also for this kind of association. So that's something that will come soon. We will speak a little bit later at the end of the session. We will try also to share with you how we see the next step and when we feel that this association could be really in place.
Okay, thank you, Philippe. I invite all the panelists to switch on their camera. We now have the first Q&A session. There are loads of questions. Some of them have already been answered, so I will not go through the ones already replied to. You are able to read the replies already. So I will go to the open question. The first one from Sean Kelly. It may be challenging for SMEs to provide matched funding. What will be done to ensure that SMEs can participate and benefit from the partnership? I will ask first the Commission, either Sophia or Tina, to answer, and then also Amaya to bring the perspective of an SME. So,
well, I think this question is mainly addressed to the partnership and the association.
I think the question is on the financial reporting. So, for example, will the investment done the year before, can this be used to be leveraged for the funding directly provided by the EC? So, what kind of?
Yeah, I think we need to differentiate two issues here. We need to differentiate a question about the SME joining the association, and as Philippe just presented, what financial perspectives there is in this context. Then I need to highlight that topics called for on the Horizon Europe, which is also the case for all other co-program partnerships, these topics remain open. So the participation is like any other topic currently, opened in our web programs, and the conditions remain the same. So there I don't see, any specific issues for SMEs to participate as they do currently in the different codes we have open also.
Yeah, thank you. And Amaya, what's your view as an SME?
Yeah, so I mean, it's very in line with what Sophie is saying. So in the case of an innovation action at the moment, okay, you get 70% of the funding, but the SME or the small company has to come up with the 30%. And in the case of research and innovation action, the 100% is funded. So it will work in a similar manner. So I don't think it could be a roadblock for applying for this type of calls for an SME.
Yes, and of course SMEs are more than welcome in the association. So we move to the next question that says, the development of advanced material is highly influenced by their application. How will you handle the overlaps with other partnerships? I will ask Philippe to briefly address this.
Sorry, I was not listening to the question, Andreas.
Okay. The question is, the development of the innovative advanced materials is influenced by the final application they have. So how will we handle the possible overlap with the other partnerships?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And that's a very interesting one. Well, definitively, we don't want to move part of the budget of this specific partnership to the new partnership on advanced materials. The way we are really discussing with this application partnership is to tell them, what are you dreaming of for accelerating the development of the specific needs you have on materials that we could take care of, or that we could take care of together? For example, if you need new digital tools that could also be used by others, can we elaborate something where we will have the IAM4EU partnership that will be supporting and funding the activities on the setting up of these tools, and possibly you, as the application partnership, you will be supporting the testing, the demonstration, the use case of this tool in your specific application. So again, it's more, the partnership would be, the materials partnership would be more active at the foundational level, providing the tools, the methods, whatever, and the application partnership will validate these tools for their specific applications.
Okay, thank you. We move to the next one from Emily Lizak. The question is, companies that are deeply rooted in traditional materials may resist using new ones, but this will lead them to miss out on emerging opportunities. Any insight? I mean, that's precisely one of the reasons why we are setting up the Innovative Advanced Materials for EU, because we feel, we, us and the Commission and everybody, that the future is indeed in these innovative advanced materials for a variety of applications. So we do hope that companies who are using traditional material will embrace it. And our feedback at the moment, I will not say names, but most of the large companies, there will be a slide at the end that you can think of in Europe, who traditionally use normal materials, are interested and will be partners of the association. So the next one, associated countries, can they be involved? I give a simple answer: yes, associated countries are in, and so that there's no need to have a deep comment on this. So how can academia join these partnerships? Academia and industry and RTOs all will be able to join. I will ask Flavia to briefly explain how academia can join.
Hi. So academia can join also within the association that is going to be created. We will talk a little bit later. I think we have a few slides about the association itself that will be connected to this partnership. As Andrea just mentioned, everyone between academic partners, RTOs, are going to be also crucial to just give their input from the part of really the research and development, and connect then all the inputs towards industry. So it's a very important value chain to have inside of the association and the partnership itself. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Then there is another question. There are a few questions on what is the definition of innovative advanced materials. I will try to summarize. It's either an existing material used in a completely different way from the one is used at the moment, or completely new materials that are just coming out from academia that need to find their way in industry. So we are not going to cover traditional materials used in a traditional way. This is about the future, is about setting Europe at the forefront in the years or decades to come. So we need to look at the future of both the materials and the usage they have. What is the total budget and the duration of the program? As shown by Sophie, Tina, and Philippe, for the partnership itself, we are talking about 500 to 600 million between 25 to 27, of which 50% roughly provided by the Commission. But then, have you seen, there are many other actions from ESC, Academy, potential and IPCEI, and so on. So the numbers are not fully settled, but it will be much bigger than that. And of course, our hope is that we then continue in FP10. And that if that is the case, the budget will be much larger. But I will ask Sophie or Tina if they want to add anything in terms of these budget projections.
No, I think for today we can only give the budget projections for the partnership, because what is relevant today, and you mentioned, as Tina also said, we are from the Commission side putting 250 million on the table, and we expect at least equivalent, investment also from industry. For the other actions in the communication, this is a wider discussion, and I would say not for here, and I don't have exact budget figures for all of them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. But as you see, that things are ongoing, but in any case, from the slides already presented, is a very large set of initiatives. And if there is a question if a partner, if Turkey can be part, I'm pretty sure Turkey can be part, but I will ask again Sophia and Tina to clarify.
Well, I think we said before already that associated countries are welcome and have all the possibilities to participate.
Yes, so we already discussed about the materials itself, so I will skip them. So there are questions about if you are a graphene-based company, if you can join. Of course, as mentioned at the beginning, this is an initiative that's put together by IAM 2030 and then the Graphene Flagship and 2DMI, and for sure graphene and 2D materials fully qualify as innovative advanced materials. So if you're a company working in this area, you're more than welcome to join. In terms of the governance, Philippe went briefly through it. Maybe Philippe, you can go back a couple of slides to the governance one. It's, as mentioned by Philippe, is quite a traditional approach. There will be a general assembly, an executive board, a board of delegates, and so on and so forth. We don't have time today to go through the details of this, but I invite you to write to Flavia Tomarchio or to Philippe if you have if you want more details on the governments. And of course, industry will have a significant weight. So we expected a weighted voting system, roughly 75% industry, 25% research. We also expect in the key bodies to have the majority of representatives from industry. But of course, academia and RTOs will also be presented. But we really don't have time now to go into the precise.
If I may, maybe there was a very specific question whether it will be EMIRI or the Graphene Flagship or a little bit of both that will be leading this organization. It will be a new organization, and so of course it will hopefully gather the existing members of the Graphene Flagship and of EMIRI and others, but it will not be EMIRI and the Graphene Flagship that will continue leading this in the future. We are just doing this now in this interim setting up phase, but really the ambition is to have one dedicated association that will be really the open association for all those who are really interested to join and to contribute to the activities of this partnership.
Yes, I agree with what Philippe says. We had several discussions. We will create a completely new association that at the beginning will have equal representation of the two parts, AMI and the Graphene Flagship. But then, of course, after the ramp-up phase, it will be the General Assembly to vote all the positions in the association. So we will merge the two. And again, to contact Philippe, Jacques, and Flavia Tomarchio for their respective interest. If you are coming from AMI or 2D Materials, you can ask them personal questions about how to join. There is a question about the Materials Week in Cyprus. This is not officially linked to IAM4EU, but we plan to have presentations of IAM4EU at the Cyprus event. Later on, once the association is up and running, as done in the past, for example, in the Graphene Flagship and so on, there will be several conferences that will be sort of officially linked to the partnership, but this will be decided by the board after we start. There are questions on the Technology Council. I have to say I don't know much about it. Maybe Sophia or Tina, can you explain more how the Technology Council work, if industry has a vote, and how the members are selected?
Yes, I can explain a little bit, but I think I tried to answer some of these questions in written also. So the aim of the Technology Council is really to set joint priorities between national and EU programs, so to ensure that we really, with public funding, support the whole ecosystem. But there will, of course, be consultation mechanisms. There will be outreach to the stakeholders, to the different important associations and partnerships. So industry and academia will be involved also in this whole consultation process about how to set these priorities. Now, the mandate for this technology council is something we have to work on this year. So that is also still, open for discussion about how it will actually how it will function. The main aim really being to align, to make sure that we have an alignment between national program strategies and the EU's programs and strategies to support the strong ecosystem.
Okay, thank you. And again, several questions on the fees and the contribution for SMEs. Amaya already addressed that. The rules will be the same, and Sophie said as well. So if it's a RIA or IA or another action, it will be the same rules as you can find now for any other similar call. In terms of fees, these were discussed with SMEs and large organizations and universities and so on. We are not ready to disclose them, but they are extremely reasonable, and they will not really affect anybody joining. Maybe Amaya, I know you are very keen on this part. You can say a couple of words on this.
Sorry, Andrea, what it was referring
on the fees to join the association.
Yeah. So yeah, I was actually about to answer on the chat, but yeah, the answer is that of course the fees will be directly proportional to what you can pay. So SMEs will be requested to pay a lower fee than large companies. And at the end, the voice of the SMEs should be as important as that of large companies.
Yeah, absolutely. The companies will not be discriminated by the size, but of course the large companies will have to pay a bit more. There are then a bunch of questions of what we are going to do in 2025, and if we have calls already in 2025, it's a good time to stop, because after the break, we will actually speak about 2025. So the answer is yes, there will be call. If everything goes well, we plan to have calls in 2025, and we are going to briefly give an overview of the broad orientations for these calls. Again, this is not is still ongoing discussion, but we will give them after the break. I would suggest to take 6 minutes break, Philippe, unless you want to take it longer.
Sorry, I missed how much do you suggest? 10 minutes?
6 minutes until 10:15.
Maybe we can take 10. I think that we...
Okay, let's do 10 minutes until 10:20 European time. So we will restart in 10 minutes and we will cover what happens, what we plan to for it to happen in 2025. Okay, we can restart. Philippe, maybe you can give the control.
Yeah,
slide control.
Yeah, we have 2 minutes, and then
you can start doing that so I can check.
Yeah, what I will do, Andrea, is to give you the control for the slides, indeed.
Yeah.
Okay, normally you should have it. Yeah.
Yeah, I have it. Okay, so we will restart. Hopefully everybody is now back from the break. I'm pleased to see that we have around 600 or 550 people attending. We had almost 1,000 registered people for the session. And we'll now go and answer some of the questions of what happens in 2025 and what is our sort of scientific and technological plan. So let me go forward. So the partnership is based on a document that is called the Strategic Research and Innovation Agenda, SRIA. So if you have never heard about it, you will hear about it many times. This is sort of the roadmap or the vision of what the partnership will do. And then from that, it will translate in the concrete actions. So essentially, you need to be in the SRIA for them to be implemented in actions. So the key elements are a well-developed intervention logics with concrete objective and targeted impacts, measurable expected outcomes and deliverables, a monitoring framework for assessing the progress towards the objectives. So we need to have, as usual, some KPI, and this KPI have to be meaningful in order for the progress of our work to be monitored. And this will, within Horizon Europe, of course, will have to be aligned within the Horizon Europe monitoring framework. And the KPI, they need to be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Then, as already mentioned by Philippe, a key work, and as requested also by some of the questions, we need to make sure not to overlap with other existing partnerships and to be complementary. The slide that Philippe showed was very crowded, but essentially we are in touch with all the major partnerships from CHIPS-JU to Photonics 21 to any one of the proposed ones. A great work has been done in terms of discussions, so we know well where to position ourselves. And then we need to define the priorities and the modalities of how this collaboration works. And of course, this document has to be updated over time. So there is a plan to publish this document for consultation, wide consultation, as soon as we are in the position to do so, hopefully in the next month or so. So everybody will be able to comment and give feedback on that. And of course, via this engagement we have today and many other engagements, we are going to make sure that everybody will have the possibility of commenting on this. From, this is like the initial documents for people who are familiar with the Graphene Flagship. It was written over 10 years ago, outlining all the vision over the years. So this will be similar and contains the different intervention areas. So the areas of intervention, the research and innovation areas and the outputs are defined as follows. So the first point to tackle is the resilient and circular materials value chain. And I don't know why. Okay. So this will be innovative advanced material design, production, and processing, driven by safety, sustainability, and circularity. Again, a few questions before. Safety, sustainability, circularity, life cycle analysis, SSB, all of these concepts will be embedded in all the work we will do in this partnership. And we also, of course, will consider the use phase of these innovative advanced materials in the circular business models. So the output of this first area is innovative advanced materials and supporting technologies. So these new materials and the supporting technology in order to develop them. Then we have another large area, which is cross-enabling tools and methodologies. So the material digitalization, data management, a lot of material modeling and prediction, AI tools, ML tools combined with DFT and any other kind of approach in order to model, predict, devise new materials, new functionalities before these are done experimentally, and at the same time use large experimental set to train the modeling. And then we will need to support the European policy and regulatory framework. So the output of this second area is tools, methods, and frameworks. And then, as I mentioned, the innovation cycle is key. So we will need to articulate the process to go from low TRL technology to market-oriented research, how we get the industrial take-up in the key innovation areas and technology infrastructures that are needed to test and upscale. At the moment, we are covering a broad TRL level between 1 and 7. That's what we envisage directly, meaning that 1 will not be the end of the project. So end of the project will be at least a TRL 3, but it could be the start, because we want to nurture also completely new advanced materials that start from the beginning, but they need to have the path for innovation. They cannot just be materials for the lab. And this will create ecosystem enables. So the area of intervention, I really don't go through all the details. These are some of the section of the SRIA that will be circulated when ready. So, for example, IAM's source for sustainable renewable sources, IAMs with cutting-edge functionalities, and so on and so forth. So I don't propose to go all in detail today. You will have a copy of the slides. So use phase and reusability of these materials and using the business models. Then in cross-enabled tool and technology, as I mentioned, integrated federated digital framework covering the materials life cycle, model-driven SSBD, so safe and sustainable by design and life cycle analysis, digitalization, traceability, the materials passport, and so on. Big thing on materials modeling, characterization, and testing, multi-physics, multi-scale modeling, AI, ML combined with DFT modeling, and so on, material knowledge and systems, and then supporting the operationalization of the policies of Europe and the regulatory framework, so having our work fully feeding in all these other European activities. And then for the innovation cycle, there will be a focus on low TRL technology-oriented material research. So how do we really get this new innovative advanced material from low TRL up to technology orientation and higher TRLs? And then there will be an area on technology infrastructure that is needed to support the testing and upscaling. This could be a networking of infrastructures, digital infrastructure, technology infrastructure, and business development services. And finally, activities on ensuring the industrial take-up in key application areas, and in particular, the 4 that we already mentioned: energy, mobility, construction, and so on. So now for the Work Program 2025, there is an existing committee that is working on this broad orientation that will be discussed with the European Commission. And to give you, because I'm sure there will be the question, we are thinking of suggesting a budget for 25 of a lower budget for the ramp-up phase of around 60 to 70 million. And now I will ask Jerome to start presenting broad orientation 1.
Yes, thank you very much, Andrea. So indeed, a few words now about this first broad orientation, which is about harnessing the full potential of innovative advanced materials along the complete materials value chain. So as you can read it, the keywords here are the materials value chain, with a scope to make these value chains more robust and resilient. So firstly, looking at the side of the supply chain, where we need, as you know, to mitigate the critical dependencies of Europe to certain elements, raw materials, and to the foreign countries supplying them. But also, we need also to ensure a continuity along the value chain in terms of stakeholders, in terms of competencies, capacities, and so on. And then the next step will be to move towards circularity, to turn the linear chain into circular ones, closing the loop, and there to recover, recycle, and reuse materials, so to prepare the emergence of secondary materials supplies, being for either raw materials or advanced materials. So as you see, this is quite a broad scope, quite ambitious, and that's where we want in the first stage in 2025 to focus on these industrial sectors that are strategic to Europe, but also where we foresee some high potential for circularity and where we can also expect some impact at the global level. And these industrial sectors have been mentioned earlier by Tina and Philippe in their presentation. So this orientation will be really about eco-design, about implementing the directives and regulations in place and anticipating the upcoming ones. And the Eco-Design 1 directive and the upcoming regulation on eco-design, a sustainable product will be under the spotlight for sure. And the challenge will be really to translate the requirements of these directives and regulations, being both generic and specific, into actual materials characteristics. So then we will, on one hand, look at safety and sustainability along the material value chain. So basically mitigating or preventing the use of substances and materials that are hazardous to a human and to the environment. But also we'll be looking at sustainability here again all along the value chain in terms mostly of resource efficiency. By resource, we mean any type of resource, being materials, energy, water, gas, liquid, you name it. And we will distinguish between the embedded resource efficiency, which is the one you use to make up products, to make products, and the resources you use during the operation of a product. So this will be addressed in a linear view, this so-called from cradle to grave saying. And then the next step will be the circularity to establish, to set up strategies for circularity, which will be strongly dependent on technologies, to have the recovering and recycling technologies available and scalable in the first place, but also to have circular business models that will enable the economic viability of this circularity. Next slide, please. So here, some information about the types of actions we propose to support and to fund. You see two of them. The first one will be focusing on single segments of the value chain or coupling segments when it makes sense. So to address challenges, safety and sustainability bottlenecks and challenges that have not been matched yet. So just to give an example of, for instance, coupling segments where we could have quite some interest would be, for instance, to couple the last segment of recovering and recycling materials to the first segment of the value chain, which is the using of materials, of raw materials for making advanced materials. So, for instance, demonstrating that we can actually recover and recycle materials and reach the expected quality to make new advanced materials. So that could be the type of focused action supporting under this first pathway. And the second one will be more ambitious, and there we are expecting to actually cover the full materials value chain, having consortia applying with beneficiaries and partners covering all segments of the value chain and addressing topics like the ones of actually closing the loop. In terms of expected output, so by outputs we mean the delivery of the actions, the projects that will be funded under these calls. And here we give some concrete examples. So firstly, and it was mentioned by Andrea before, primarily, the output of this area of intervention will be about technologies, materials technologies, but all associated technologies necessary to design, develop, produce, and integrate materials, but also to monitor and recover, recycle them all along the value chain again. And here a few examples you can see with the text in gray. So if we look, for instance, at the production and processing segments, so there is this example of materials, alternative materials for magnets, where we want to get rid or to reduce the using of rare earth materials. Another example is the ones where innovative advanced materials could actually be alternative solutions to using strategic or critical raw materials, or at least to mitigate their use. And the last example is the one of composites, new composites that would be a definite solution to using metals and alloys that are now becoming very critical. And here we think of titanium and aluminium as examples. The next bullet still about production. There is quite some need to produce these advanced smart materials, being powders, filaments, resins, inks, whatever, for additive processing. So to make net-shaped, complex geometries, lightweight structures. A third example is the one related to the use phase, where we need monitoring technologies to monitor the performance of a product and its components, and thereby the materials that are inside them. And there we need to push these technologies, so to enable services like smart maintenance and repair strategies that will be of much interest to strengthen the business models. And finally, one interesting case, which is actually covering different segments of the value chain, from production, processing, end of use, and reuse. And that's the case of reversible bonding, being at the atomic level or at the material level. You have a few examples here of vitrimers and Jekyll-like structures that would enable easy disassembling of parts of materials, and so to promote their recycling. And here that could be applied to many types of materials and multi-materials components and assemblies. Other expected output, these strategies I mentioned earlier, we need pathways towards circularity. And as I said, this will strongly rely on the technological capacity, but also on the economic capacity of circularity. So that will be a very important output complementary to the materials technologies. Then the third one, also important, will be the tools and methods that will be implemented under this orientation, which will be available tools and methods. We are not here to develop them, but to validate them on a use case basis. And these tools will be several. So you can read in gray. There will be the digital and physical ones that will be used for modeling, simulation, material acceleration platform, machine learning, artificial intelligence, but also all the smart instrumentation, as well as all the tooling for SSBD, life cycle assessment. You see material flow analysis, eco-design and design for environment, technical eco analysis, and so on. And finally, the using of these tools and methods, will generate lots of information, data, and new knowledge and understanding, which will be pushed towards standardization and regulatory bodies as very valuable information to upgrade these frameworks. Next slide, please, and that will be the last one, talking about the outcomes of this orientation. So the gray box first, the overarching outcome. So what we're expecting, and sorry to say that this outcome will be somehow the integration, the consolidation of the using of the previous outputs I have presented to you. So that's the higher level achievement of the orientation. So in the gray box, the first one will really be to deliver demonstrated cases, materials, SSBD cases along the value chain for these key industrial sectors, and being to rename them electronics, energy, construction, and mobility. And this demonstration will be absolutely necessary, important to move to the next stage of deploying these preliminary cases either inside the same sectors or across sectors, which is also something we are aiming at. And the second one will be this toolbox that will be validated and made available, commonly applicable, of course, but also common to all stakeholders along the materials value chain and along the innovation cycle. And then we see the other colored boxes that detail the outcomes along the value chain. So in purple, at the design and development production stage of materials, the first thing is that we will have better design and better produced materials, because this will be done in the light of what will happen subsequently and downstream the value chain. There will be certainly this new value, quite a value, added value on the data and information that will be generated on materials. And here we are clearly talking about the digital product passport, and that will benefit to all stakeholders downstream the value chain, down to the customers and users. These digital and physical tools I mentioned will be implemented and validated for the acceleration of developing materials, so accelerating the cycles of development. Then the next stage at the components and products and systems level, same thing, but the other way around. We will benefit there of integrating innovative advanced materials that are already upgraded and that encompasses and include and integrate valuable data information. And we will here also benefit from the tooling that will be more specific to the components and product systems development, development and manufacturing. Then in green, we are here reaching the use phase. So there, the customers, the users will have additional data information on their products and what is inside their products in terms of components and materials. And that valuable information will enable them to take decision in a much more informed way, and so to think their business in a upgraded way and a more economic and financial way of, for instance, proposing new services, either being based on maintenance, smart maintenance, or how to repair better, and or possibly to remanufacture, as we can see last in the orange box. So again, here at the end of the value chain, with all the information you have acquired and all the understanding and knowledge you have built upon, you will be in a better position for decision making with how you want actually to reuse the different parts, components of your products. So that's about it for this orientation. Andrea?
Yes, thank you very much.
Time-wise?
Yeah, that's fine. We will go to the full orientation before taking the questions. So if Philippe, you can give back the controls, I can start with the broad orientation 2. I'm still waiting. Okay, I have control back. So broad orientation 2 is innovative advanced materials with cutting-edge functionalities and associated technology to accelerate innovative advanced material design. So the scope is to work on innovative advanced materials that combine multiple or tunable properties. For example, mechanical strength, resilience, lightweight, flexibility, stretchability, and conformability in the same material, or optically ultra broadband, multispectral, high speed, low energy consumption, quantum photonic properties, optimized line matter interactions, and so on. Electrical, high frequency, high voltage, high thermal conductivity insulators, magnetic, physical, chemical, and thermodynamic properties. The relevant product groups are electronics, and I need to stress that because there was this question and so on, when the EC calls electronics, if you look at the fine print, electronics includes electronics, of course, but also photonics, optoelectronics, and quantum applications. Those are all included under the CAP electronics. So in electronics, we're going to look at more than more, beyond more, flexible, hybrid, photonic components and systems, sensors, robotics, human-machine interface, IoT, adhesive for electronics, surface solution, functional coatings, but not and many others. And then again, there are a lot of effort in materials modeling, multi-scale, multi-physics, shift from material property-driven design to a materials functionality-driven design approach. So proposed actions, these are just examples. These, as mentioned before, these are not finalized yet. So designing, developing, and produce and process innovative advanced material with combined or tunable properties, enabling cutting-edge functionalities at the application level. For example, innovative advanced materials for low power and optimized light matter interaction, combining tunable electronic and optical properties to be used in electronics, photonics, and so on. Or, for example, lightweight, innovative advanced material, they're driven by low carbon footprint requirement, leveraging mechanical strength and combining diverse properties, including chemical and physics. Physical, this could be used also in mobility, space, aerospace, construction, and so on. And then, of course, an action on modeling, characterization, and testing for IAMs. Typical example, but these are not comprehensive, it's just a set of examples of expected outputs for 2025. It will be innovative advanced materials for conformal electronic application, IAMs for photonic integrated and switching circuits to alleviate telecom networks, quantum photonic-based innovative advanced materials, innovative advanced material with broadband performance, hyperspectral application, sealants and coatings for manufacturing and final assembly, membranes for industrial environmental application, and IAMs with improved efficiency in construction, energy, and mobility. And then the outcomes will be, of course, to address Pillar 1 and 4 in terms of the European research and innovation for advanced material, the resilience of the EU, and production and use of advanced material. We want to push the frontier of safe, sustainable, and circular and scalable IAMs and associated technologies, accelerate the development cycle of this, and generating new technology with exploiting also multi-scale and multi-physics phenomena. So and this, of course, will lead to an improved quality of life for the EU, reduce carbon emission. For example, data centers are a big problem in terms of carbon emission and data and energy use. So the new advanced materials will reduce this. Energy efficiency by smart design in technologies that will read the low carbon, new technologies that can reduce the dependency on critical materials in Europe in sectors in automobile, aerospace, electronics, and so on. Again, cutting the environmental impact and reinforcing the EU action for the fit for the digital age, not just in terms of final applications, but also in terms of the modeling and the way we develop new materials and applications. And with this, I will move to the broad orientation 3, and Peter Klein is here to explain it. Peter.
Yeah, hopefully Peter is with us. I know, Peter, you are traveling today.
Yes, thanks, Felipe. Thanks, Andrea. I'm currently at the airport, so hopefully the connection will be stable enough to give this presentation. So we are talking about the broad orientation number 3 today, which is entitled Towards a Unified Digital Framework for Innovative Advanced Materials. And of course, much more details can be found in the 3 on that. The point is, we now start with the, let's say, most urgent topics which we identified while discussing about the 3. So the scope here is more on the materials data space as the backbone of this materials commons infrastructure, as discussed in the communication on advanced materials. And we want to put a focus along the industrial value chains here. So we want to use existing and upcoming IAM data, which are obtained by modeling and characterization. And we want to extend them towards SSBD, so safe and sustainable by design, key performance indicators, if you like, and we want to extend them towards semantic data interoperability, which includes metadata and corresponding ontologies for the semantic part of the interoperability. And all that should be done along and across industrial value chains. This boils down to the use of open and long-term persistent data repositories, like one which is going to get implemented by EOSC, the European Open Science Cloud, for the IAMs and for their data, and thus contribute to the digital materials data standards, which support FAIR principles, which are about to get implemented on EOSC as well. And of course, we want to have IAM data continuously along the complete innovation cycle in the end, but in particular along the materials value chain, from the design to the product release in the first stage, and afterwards closing the complete loop towards recycling to allow for an effective implementation of this SSBD and LCA paradigms. So the focus is on building a European materials data space together with EOSC and the materials commons infrastructure, which again had been announced already in the communication. And we want to contribute to the harmonization and standardization from a digital point of view, so not too much from the point of view of harmonization test protocols, but to harvest their output. So once these protocols are conducted, to harvest their output on the materials data spaces. This should enable AI readiness for the materials data, of course, and including those SSBD and LCA criteria, which are part of the ESPR. For the innovation part, we want to support collaborative decision-making along those value chains in co-innovation processes towards circularity, because in the end, no industry can do things alone. So we believe in that collaboration along value chains is necessary, and we want to support this kind of collaboration using the materials commons infrastructure in the end and EOSC. So the next slide, please. From this end, we propose two kind of funded actions for the next work program. So the first one is the integration of materials data for specific types of IAMs, like alloys, ceramics, polymers, composites, others, across the innovation markets using EOSC, following PAIR principles, but enriched with SSBD and probably even LCA standards. These should be RIAs, and this should lead to a cross-fertilization of types of IAMs across the strategic priority markets. The next thing is, so this is more on the materials end. The other action which we propose, more IIA actions, take into account value chains. We want to cover the materials along complete production chains, from the raw materials or recycled materials till product release in those 4 strategic priority areas. And here we want to use the announced materials commons infrastructures already now within ESPR perspective. The expected outputs are from those projects, we contributed to SSBD enabling metadata schema, and hopefully provide a substantial amount of IAM data initially on EOSC. We want to deliver content of training schema for modelers and experimentalists for supporting lifelong learning perspectives. Based on use cases, we want to implement really gapless materials and production data along value chains, ready to be used in SSBD and LCA assessments, and for enhanced co-innovation on the materials commons infrastructure. Those of you who have already conducted LCA assessments know that the inventory part is usually the most demanding part in this area. And from the materials digitalization edge, we want to support this, and we want to accelerate, in particular, this invention part using the materials data spaces. And we want to make the data on EOS and the materials commons infrastructure AI ready to enable collaborative decision support mechanisms and services, which are kind of digital objects which should run on this materials commons infrastructure. These are the outputs. So next slide, please. The outcomes, so a little bit more far-reaching consequences once we have implemented these things are we want to contribute to pre-normative standards on IAM data, for example, in workshop agreements, and on digital objects and their associated metadata. Always in the perspective to support SSPD and LCA approaches. This calls for an harmonization of data to support the uptake by the European R&I ecosystem. We want to support, of course, FAIR principles and existing and upcoming interoperability standards and ontologies to support the semantic interoperability even. And we want to integrate this even in low-level TRL IAM development processes. And we want to accelerate the IAM development following the SSPD approaches, although they are not yet, say, rock solid, but I think enough is known to start this endeavor. And in the end, this will support the industrial leadership in this area. The next outcome should be that IAM data spaces should be really ready for uptake by industry in innovation processes. And this way we want to support the twin green digital transition. We will have an enhancement of the innovation capacity of the researchers in industry, in particular of the workforce there, by reskilling and upskilling towards digitalization, of course. We want the verification of predictive materials modeling and digital objects. So verification in this case means that this is analog to the FAIR principles for data, but this can get extended, and it's on the way to get extended to all kind of material of digital objects, like services, simulation tools, knowledge retrieval by reasoners on based on ontologies, using the materials data spaces, and so forth. So this enables AI, and here in particular, human and machine processable knowledge retrieval. We want to facilitate human-centric interfaces here as a single entry access point for the materials commons infrastructure, which could mean in the end even natural language processing tools to harvest data by looking up using this single entry point, the complete materials data space. This shall support, of course, knowledge valorization for all actors within the value chain. The next thing is we want to support, or the outcome of the project shall support IAM services which empower the circular value chains, although we are now only up to the, say, production chain. So we do not tackle for now the use phase of products and the recycling phase and repair and overhaul and all these things. But the perspective should be there. This is supported by data information and knowledge transparency along the value chains. This is necessary for a full implementation of the ESPR, including rule-based digital object access management and control. This is probably not too much for EOS, but for sure on the materials commons infrastructure. we want to support the full traceability of IAMs from cradle to cradle in the end, to support the circularity and to support circular business models in this area. And last but not least, AI readiness of the IAM data spaces is important. The BO3 will lead to quality assured integrated materials data, which includes, to some extent at least, context awareness as part of the standards on the IAM data spaces. And this way they are ready to use in AI, ML approaches, decision support, knowledge valorization, really for all stakeholders. And yeah, this is more for the digital end. The materials data repositories shall be equipped with multiple options to access these kind of data, so that nobody is forced to use a single API, or a single web service, or so. There should be a variety available of access mechanisms. And in particular, this applies for the training part. I think that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We now move to BO4. If we either Jack give it to me or move to the next slide. Okay, so the BO4 is reinforcing the research and innovation ecosystem for innovative advanced material. This is essentially an action that should result in a coordination and support action. So this will not be a direct funding of project, but a European CSA. In order for us to be directly involved in the coordination of activities for the different pillars, in particular, the pillar 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if we go to the next slide. So the proposed fund action will be covering, for example, road mapping and monitoring of global trends over the entire innovation cycle, the identification of the needs for technology infrastructure, associated service and sustainability model. So this is not funding infrastructure, it's going to monitor what are the needs, what is needed, and then this will be provided as an output. Identify the skill sets for future researchers and upskilling and reskilling of the current workforce that is needed in order to work with these innovative advanced materials, contributing to the European policy goals and frameworks, introducing best practices, and having one single community or one reference community for the innovative advanced material stakeholders that can interface with other partnership initiatives and programs. And the outputs can be the state of play in support of the SRIA or the future SRIA of advanced materials, the landscape of technology infrastructures and testing beds, and the needs, the recommendation for education and training, and gaps in methodological work in order to implement SSBD, and having a synchronized regulatory development and technology progress on innovative advanced material. So if we move to the next one. So the outcome, essentially, the vision is to have a vibrant European ecosystem that coordinates and aligns European, national, regional research and innovation priorities for IAMs, having a good stakeholder base from public institution, national and regional level, industry, and so on. B, interdisciplinarity, covering the complete value chain innovation cycle, aligning and coordinating with the SRIA activities and building synergies. Complementary cross-border technology infrastructure. So this will allow both physical infrastructure and digital, as previously mentioned in BOT, so to reduce the time to market, and also to help the SMEs and startups that may not have access to these technologies and infrastructure, but they will have a means to develop their product without a massive capex in-house. And of course, developing the new skill set. In particular, there will be a close cooperation with Advanced Material Academy. That was one of the actions announced this morning by Sophie and Tina, and that will be a European action in order to train people in this area. And so there will be interaction with the national programs in material science, data science, chemistry, and so on. And also a work on making operational a variety of SSBD approaches. Okay, if we go to the next slide. Now we have finished. Yeah, we have finished with the BO presentation. I invite all the panelists to switch on their screens. We have about 46 questions already answered, and we are going to go to other questions not answered now. So one question is about the EU Nano Safety Cluster, and if we are going to collaborate with them. Of course, absolutely. This is one of the organizations that we are going to interface with. If you want to know more about this, please contact Jérôme Gavillet or Alberto Bianco, and you can discuss more details on this. Another question says,
maybe Andrea, if you allow me,
yeah.
I think not only the Nano Safety Cluster, but I think that we also elaborated connections with the Malta Initiative, which is also an important stakeholder in that field. And definitively, we want also to consolidate these connections.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the question was specifically on nano safety. Then there is another question to say we should focus on innovation disregarding how advanced materials are. I will give my personal view on this, that there are many partnerships in Europe, activities and actions that focus on innovation, but this one, the IAM4EU, is precisely building on innovative advanced materials. So it's not innovation in general, it is innovation that starts from the innovative advanced material. So either completely new, different materials with enhanced properties, or a completely out-of-the-box way of using a traditional material. Many other actions exist in Europe to support innovation. This will, we need to focus on what we are doing. So there's another question, a link to what was asked before. How can regulatory agencies contribute to IAM4EU? I believe Philippe already addressed, but unless you want to say something else. If industry will not be a voting member of the Technology Council is directly under the responsibility of Europe. So I will ask either Tina or Sophie if you can answer if the industry will be a voting member in the Technology Council.
I think we discussed the Technology Council before already, and I already gave information about it. So I don't think it is linked to the BO questions. Thank you.
Okay. So how does the EU MAT fit in, Philippe?
Sorry, I missed your point.
How does EU MAT fit in what we're doing?
Sorry, but my connection is not so good. So again,
okay.
I do not see which question you are on.
Okay, but basically we are in contact with all these other initiatives and we'll be interacting with them. Then we have a question on the financial contribution for RTOs. I will ask Fabia to very briefly address this. I think you're muted. I cannot hear the answer. So
maybe I can take it. So
yes,
definitely we are going to elaborate the schedule of fees per category of member. RTOs are generally quite big organizations, and so they will have also a fee which is quite the same level as the one that they are supporting today in similar associations for processes for Planet or for Made in Europe, for example, or for but for EU. So that's yeah, no surprise there.
Another question: if we should interact with Connect Nuclear Materials, that is a new action that will be starting in autumn. I believe that we can reach out, but I don't know if Jérôme, you have any information on Connect NM, if we're already discussing with them.
You are muted, Jérôme.
Yeah. Please say again. I missed the first part of the question.
Connect NM, which is dedicated to innovation in nuclear materials.
Yeah, I don't think we can say much about this at this stage because our strategy is not clearly defined yet. So I'm not saying much more than that.
Now, what I can say, I had a very quick discussion with ERA on this, that we need to further discuss, because indeed that's really just launch program partnership. I think the amount that will be allocated will be 40 million. Yeah, we need to identify how where are the synergies. This one was not on our radar screen up to now.
Okay, so please, if you represent Connect and Map, get in touch with Philippe or Jerome, and you can have a discussion on the back. There are other questions on the fees for the partnership for small R&D institute. I stress again what was said before. It will be quite low in the sense that it's been targeted so that nobody can be left out. So don't worry about that. Other question on the Technology Council, as Sophie said, the information we're given this morning, so we'll not come back to that. How to interact with the member states and the agencies. So there will be actions that are European research actions, like used to be FLAG-ERA, and there will be something called EMIRA. So there will be these actions that include the contribution of member states. Maybe either Philippe or Sophie, you want to add something on this more?
But I think that's for me that's definitively a dimension that we need to further elaborate on. You mentioned indeed this this similar to FLAG-ERA initiative, but I think that we need to further dig into how to reinforce the connections and the synergies so that we can also better benefit from the support and the funding which is conducted at the national and regional level by the agencies. And so, and when I say we can benefit, it's not the partnership, but it's more the community at large that I mean, for the benefit of innovative advanced materials. So really defining the appropriate connections. And I hope that this technology council will be one appropriate place. But I must say that it's still quite new, so I still need also to better understand really what this technology council will really be taking care of. I don't know, Sophie, if you can already share some thoughts on this.
Just as said this morning, the overall aim of the Technology Council is really to align national and the EU programs around joint objectives so that we can support with the available public funding this ecosystem we want to create. And in that respect, of course, you know, the whole ecosystem will benefit from activities here. The Technology Council, as I said, the partnership is one of the 14 actions of the Commission communication, and the Technology Council will oversee also, you know, the whole implementation of these actions in the communication. So there will be place to discuss also how we can align the different activities. Thank you.
Yes, so people from the Graphene Flagship will be familiar with FLAG-ERA. So FLAG-ERA will not continue, but it will be a similar thing. I don't know, I call it IAM4EU. So that will encompass all the advanced materials, and there will be a call for the member states to join in a CSA. So there is again, questions on fees. As I said, they will be quite reasonable. Don't worry about fees, especially if you're a small institution or an SME. There is a question for Pete. No, Peter is still there. So how do we address the need of data within the scope of the Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive, CSRD?
Honestly, we did not go into that level of detail, at least not for now. And I think this is more part of project proposals and not from the broad orientations. I mean, this is towards SSBD, yes. This is towards a standard, yes. But to my opinion, this is more on the level of projects and not on the level of broad orientations.
Okay, thank you. So how we will share the information of today, Gemma will send you the information later. The presentation will be available. And as I said, today is just the first of a wide range of activities that we'll plan to do in order to disseminate to basically everywhere the information. So how can industry apply for the partnership? Again, there are two means. One is to be part of the association. Today, we are not here giving you a link to register to the association because we are creating it. It took a while to decide that the two sides, Graphene Flagship and EMIRI, will essentially discontinue and create a new association. As soon as it is ready, you will all be notified. And Flavia and Philippe are sort of the contacts at the moment for this, and there will be information given. In terms of joining the actions, the RIAs and EAs, that's easy. In Horizon Europe, this will be Horizon Europe calls, and you will then apply, and there will be an evaluation process for that. So if you are a testing company, yes, absolutely, testing and characterization is part of what we are going to do, and is also part of the broad orientation that we just presented. So by all means, testing companies are welcome. So again, the dichotomy between advanced and non-traditional materials and traditional materials, I could make an example. If you use a piece of steel to build a railway, and that's exactly the same piece of steel of the last 100 years, this will not be in the scope of IAMs. If you take this steel and you put some, I don't know, C60 in it and becomes very good, that is part of the IAMs. We will need, of course, to define better in the documents these boundaries, but I mean, now in this very short period of time, we can only give some broad orientation. How do we ensure that the in-kind contribution from industry will come? This is a scoping that we have done within the two organizations with our industrial partners, and we are confident that the in-kind contribution will be met. But again, this will be discussed within the association when it starts. What will be the role of companies of the material innovation market, and how can they join providing use cases and so on? Philippe, do you have an answer for this?
Yeah, well, definitively, I think it's important indeed that we have this strong connection with the needs of the market. So we expect and we hope that companies like Airbus for the aerospace industry or big OEMs for automotive will join and really push for their priorities, and that they would offer really to bring the use case that really will be validating really all the developments that will be conducted by the project funded under the calls for the partnership.
There is a question if traditional materials manufactured in innovative ways will count. We need to think about this. My gut feeling it will be a no, because we need to focus on the innovative materials. And so, but if you can argue that this innovative way of manufacturing a traditional material leads to some completely new application, this could be the case. But I don't know, Philippe.
I agree with you, Andrea. I think that we have to put the limit somewhere, and the limit is that the materials have to bring some new functionality, something new. So it's not about, so typically this case would be covered possibly by processes for planet or made in Europe, if they are really working on new processes for producing the materials or for new tools and systems for manufacturing the products in embedding the materials. But we are not going to qualify a material as being an innovative advanced material just because the process to make it would be a novel one.
Exactly. So how will this partnership differentiate from EIC? Not sure if you mean European Innovation Council. With the EIC, there is already discussion, and of course, as also shown by Sophie and Tina, the hope is to then have specific calls also within EIC that have been discussed and somehow aligned with the partnership. So, but this will be outside the the partnership itself. But as it happens for many other initiatives, you can we will of course interface with EIC, but also with ERC and many of these European schemes. Philippe, do you want to add something on here?
No, just that indeed, I think that hopefully we will get the critical mass really to by gathering all the relevant communities, so that really we will provide appropriate roadmaps, priorities that will be also feeding the programs of the EIC. But the EIC is another instrument than the partnership. So hopefully we will be able to develop these appropriate collaborations and synergies, but that's something else indeed.
Yes. Will the member state contribute directly to the budget? No, the budget is coming from the Commission and from industry. However, in the planned ERA type actions, the member state will contribute. It is important to stress that this is a co-program partnership, which means essentially central money. There is another type of partnership called co-funded, where the member state contribute directly, but this is not the case with our proposal. So we go for the co-program. Philippe?
If I may add one point, I think that, well, what we hope also, part of the ambition is that this partnership will also be able to interact with the member states and regions, and also to, for example, in the field of technology infrastructures. If we identify some clear needs for one specific type of new technology infrastructure, the funding should come from the member states and the regions. And that's definitively where we see the connections and the, again, how to bring the different pieces of the puzzle together, so that at the end we reach this robust RNI ecosystem.
Yes, so can we expect to, of course, in the Work Package 2025? Yes, this is absolutely our aim. And this broad orientation and output and outcomes that were presented in the second part are the basis of the ongoing discussion that is not finished, in order to define what type of calls will take place in 2025. As mentioned, the ambition will be to have around 60 to 70 million euros worth of call already in 2025, if everything goes well. So that is the hope. For Peter Klein, can you elaborate on the data layer in 2 words?
2 words?
3 words.
Yeah, the data layer. I mean, in the end, everything needs to be interoperable, available on the data spaces, and it is to some extent not yet too clear how this data space actually will look like. We think that this will go into the direction of federated data spaces. This is at least our expectation. So similar to I don't know, those national initiatives which has already been mentioned. So the Platform Material Digital, or Platform Material Digital, the German name, and Diadem and others. But to some extent, the rule of this technology council will come into play here, and they will have, I think, their own idea on how to organize things. And of course, to some extent, we need to adapt to that. So there are uncertainties around at this point. We need to figure out this as soon as possible, how to cope with that. Thanks.
Andrea, if you allow me, I think that it's also appropriate to address now another question from Emile Lezac, who was addressed also to Peter, asking if the purpose of this broad orientation 3 will be to create the one common database for LCA SSBD analysis, later on supported by and updated by the European Commission. I think the answer is no, Peter. We don't want to build one database. We want really to make all these existing data sources interoperable and accessible. That's mainly the purpose.
Yes, and this is why we think that a federated data space, materials commons, so in the end, the federated infrastructure, which even includes the EOSC for more probably the scientific side of the IAMs, that this will be the way to go. But it's probably not completely on us to decide on that. So we need to see what's upcoming from this technology council and what the commission in the end will favor.
Okay, so we need to close. I will close with a couple of questions, and then there are many more, but there is no more time left. So one that I find it very interesting from Pepe Betancourt: in a year when the urgency for sustainability conflicts with economic realities, how can the EU policy boldly incentivize disrupting innovation in materials and technologies while ensuring industrial competitiveness and social equity is not compromised? I think this is exactly what IAM4EU wants to do. And I give you a simple example. I mentioned data centers before. There are some innovative advanced materials that can reduce by 75% the power consumption, the energy consumption in data centers. So this brings Europe at the forefront, allows innovation, at the same time is improving sustainability. And this is just one of many, many, many examples that I could make. For example, Jérôme mentioned the adhesive for the debonding of parts in cars. So this is important for the recycling and reusability and could potentially be extended to aerospace. So this is the core of what we are trying to do. There are many other questions on the fees. Again, I refer you to Flavia Tomarchio and Philippe Jacques. And there is an information of another conference, Artificial Intelligence for Advanced Materials 24. Yes, some members of IAM4EU will participate, but like for the Material Week, this is still not like an official conference of the partnership because the partnership is not started, but we will endeavor to attend. And also for all the 500 or 600 participants, if you have an event or something where you want us to come and present the initiative, please feel free to contact us and we will endeavor to be present. With this, I will close the Q&A and pass on to Philippe for the next step and concluding remarks.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Amaia. Thanks for your very efficient way of going through the questions. Yeah, so just in 2 slides, what I tried to set up really in 1 slide where we are and really what are the next steps. So for the time being, we are working in parallel on, I would say, on 4 different work streams. We are continuing to shape the partnership proposal, the partnership by really elaborating a document that will be, which is a concept paper on really what should be the boundary, the ambition, the objectives of the partnership. We had a first version that was shared by the Commission already before Christmas. A second version was shared by mid of February. It was before the release of the European Commission policy communication on advanced materials for industrial leadership. So it's already a bit outdated. We received the feedback and the comments from Tina, Sophie, and the colleagues a couple of weeks ago. So now we have really to integrate all these comments. We have really to revise and to review the partnership proposal, having now really the policy communication in front of us. And the next step will be to come, and I put it like that, but it's not in stone. I think that we hope that we will be able to deliver a final version of the partnership proposal document that will be posted, that will be published by the European Commission. If you remember, that's what the process that was followed for the first batch of partnership in 2020-21. So hopefully by early May, we will have something that will be publishable, agreed with the Commission. And this would be also the, let's say, the triggering events really to open on the association engagement process to open an engagement campaign. So we have this partnership proposal, which is really an important part of the work. We have this 3-year outline that was presented quickly by Andrea with these 3 areas of intervention, the different R&I priorities under these 3 areas that we need to fine-tune and to finalize, that ideally should be also attached to the partnership proposal, including also the KPIs that will be used really to assess the the success or the impact of the partnership. And definitively, this RIA will be one of the founding documents for really when the partnership will be launched officially by the signature of the Memorandum of Understanding between the Commission and the association that we are working on. This one should occur sometime probably in Q4 this year. So next big milestone would be, in my opinion, May, probably sometime in May, where we will be finalizing the partnership proposal, where we will have a more elaborated version of the strategic research innovation agenda. We are in parallel working, like you saw the board orientations, we are working on really our recommendation for the work program 25. So it's a bit unfortunate, but that's life. We need to already to provide input if we want really to have our topics really integrated and fully part of the work program 25. So this one, and I speak under the control of Sophie, but what I have in mind is that the adoption of the main work program for 25 is scheduled for the first part of 25. So the program would not be published before early 25. And last but not least, so we are now really actively shaping really this new association. The plan we are working on is really to come with a clear blueprint of the governance of the association that is absolutely necessary before really we launch this engagement campaign. And then we have to schedule, and depending really on the progress here and how we will be also able to capture members and really to develop an appropriate representation, to get an appropriate representation in the association, we should have really this association officially launched probably by September, something like that, so that the association would be up and running to be able really to sign the Memorandum of Understanding with the Commission. So that's the, let's say, a high-level plan. Probably some adjustment will be needed, but just to give you a clue of what is in front of us for the coming months. As far as I remember, when the partnership proposal were published, it was also the appropriate time to have again another open workshop conference. I don't know how to call it, an event in any case, where you would be invited also to provide your feedback, your input to these documents, and really to fine-tune really the scope and the shaping of the partnership and the partnership association. So nothing is fixed yet, nothing is scheduled yet, but probably here in May, June, we will come again with this kind of event where we will invite you also to provide your feedback. I think that's it mainly. And last but not least, I think that the most important now is that really that you also prepare internally in your respective organization, that you already start preparing to join the association as soon as this will be possible. So we already have quite a significant number of supporters, as you can see on this slide, and this slide is not exhaustive. It's not. I'm sure there are probably some of you will not recognize, will not find your logo while you are also part of this. And this is mainly we wanted to bring here really the logos from the supporting industry players. So not the one from academic, the academic world, which is definitively very much involved and interested. But of course, for what is definitively key for us is to embark not only academics and RTOs, but also to embark the industry, which at the end is developing or using this or recycling this material. So you have these contact points. Don't hesitate to come back to us with your questions, with your request, or also with your expressing your interest, so that to be sure that you will not miss the next activities. And I think that's it on my side.
Okay, thank you, Philippe. Before we leave, I'll ask if Tina or Sophie have any last words they want to say.
Well, just a very big thank you to all of you for organizing this, and we really appreciate and are looking forward to your support and continuous engagement throughout the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Tina. And I just say a couple of words. As you see in this slide, we already have engaged, I would say, many of the biggest and smallest and medium enterprises in Europe, and with lots and lots of interest. And this is a new beginning of what is going to be, if everything goes well, one of the biggest initiatives worldwide in advanced materials, not just with IAM4EU, but I want to stress, once you take into account all the other proposed activities that the AEC has suggested at the beginning. And of course, our hope is we look forward to FP10. So we are not doing this ginormous work just for a couple of years, but you know how things go. We need your support, your lobbying at the European level. And Philippe, unless you have anything else to say, I will thank everybody, and do get in touch with us. We are happy to participate to meetings, and also be in touch with Gemma and Flavia for more information on the industry association, for the copy of the presentation and anything else. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye all.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.